Your manager asks you to stay after the meeting. Everyone else files out. The door clicks shut. She leans back in her chair, arms crossed, and says, "I'm just wondering why you felt the need to bring that up in front of everyone." Your throat tightens, your pulse climbs. You open your mouth to defend yourself, and she's already won. Because here's what you don't see yet. They're not attacking you, they're pulling a string. Most workplaces don't run on performance. They run on who controls the narrative. And toxic environments. They're designed with invisible tripwires, questions that aren't questions, feedback that's really punishment, and silence that doubles as a trap. You think you're having a conversation, you're actually being positioned. And the moment you react, the moment you justify, apologize, or explain, you've just accepted their frame. You've just agreed to play on a board where every move costs you status. This video is about verbal judo for toxic workplaces, not how to win arguments, how to stop walking into them. Machiavelli understood something most people miss. Power isn't loud, it's structured. And the people who control you aren't the ones yelling. They're the ones setting the terms of every interaction so quietly you don't even notice. By the end of this, you'll know how to spot the setup, redirect the frame, and walk out of conversations that used to drain you, without saying a word they can weaponize later. Drop a comment right now. What's the most manipulative thing someone said to you at work? Let's map the patterns. Here's the thing about toxic workplaces. They don't function like normal environments where competence earns respect and honesty builds trust. They function like courts. And in a court, the person who controls the language controls the verdict. Machiavelli wrote that princes must learn to appear virtuous while acting strategically. The modern translation, your coworker who says, "I'm just trying to help," while undermining you in every meeting, isn't confused, they're calculated. And the reason you keep losing these exchanges isn't because you're not smart enough. It's because you're fighting on their terms. You're inside their sentence structure, their emotional weather, their moral framework. And as long as you stay there, you lose. Let me show you how the game actually works. Principle 1. The accusation disguised as concern. Someone pulls you aside. "Hey, I noticed you've seemed really stressed lately. Is everything okay?" Sounds caring, right? It's not. This is a status probe. They're creating a narrative where you're unstable, overwhelmed, or fragile, and they're the concerned observer. If you defend yourself, "No, I'm fine," you sound defensive. If you open up, you've just handed them ammunition. The mechanism here is reputational pre-framing. Machiavelli knew that perception is currency. If someone can position you as the stressed one before a project goes sideways, guess who gets blamed when things fall apart? Not them. You don't defend. You don't explain. You redirect with calm neutrality. "I appreciate you checking in. I'm handling things well." Then, and this is critical, or you change the subject immediately. "How's your workload looking this week?" Watch what happens. They either drop it or they push harder. And if they push harder, you've just exposed the game. Because real concern doesn't interrogate. It offers and exits. When you stop feeding the narrative starves. And the person who was trying to position you as weak suddenly has nothing to work with. Most people explain until they incriminate themselves. You just became unreachable. Let me tell you where I learned this. I once worked in an office where a senior manager would ask me, in front of others, if I was feeling okay, every single week. At first, I thought she was being kind. Then I noticed she only did it before high-stakes meetings. She was priming the room to see me as fragile. So one day, I stopped answering emotionally. I just said, "Yep, all good," and immediately asked her a work question. The pattern died in 2 weeks. Not because I confronted her, because I stopped being a useful target. Principle 2. The compliment that costs you. Your boss praises you in front of the team. You're so dedicated, you really go above and beyond. You feel seen. You feel valued. You've just been soft-locked into overwork. This is exploitative reinforcement. Machiavelli observed that rulers keep people loyal not through force, but through calculated affirmation. The praise isn't random, it's a leash. Because now, if you set a boundary, if you say no to the next last-minute request, you're betraying the identity they just handed you. You're no longer dedicated, you're difficult. Next time someone praises your work ethic in a way that feels like a setup, say this: "Thanks. I'm learning to be more strategic with my time." That one word, strategic, reframes the entire interaction. You're not a workhorse. You're a tactician. And tacticians don't overextend. Watch how quickly the praise dries up. Because it was never about you. It was about keeping you useful. Principle 3. The question that isn't a question. You're in a meeting. Your coworker says, "I'm just curious. Why did you choose that approach?" Your stomach drops. You start explaining. They nod slowly. "Interesting. I just think maybe we could have done it differently." You've been set up. They justify, they over-explain, they try to prove the decision was sound, and the more they talk, the more doubt they introduce. This is Socratic sabotage. Machiavelli understood that the appearance of inquiry is more dangerous than open conflict, because once you start defending a decision, you've introduced the possibility that it was wrong. And in a group setting, the person asking questions looks thoughtful. You look uncertain. You don't answer the question, you reframe it. Script: that approach was based on X and Y. If you have a different suggestion, I'm happy to hear it. Notice what you just did. You shifted from defense to offense. Now they have to produce something. And most of the time, they won't. Because the question was never about the solution, it was about destabilizing you. The room recalibrates. You're no longer the target, you're the one setting terms. If this is rewiring how you see power, hit like. Because what's coming next is darker. Principle 4. The silence that demands confession. You finish presenting, your manager just stares at you. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. The silence is crushing, so you fill it. I mean, I could also try. You've just undone your own authority. Silence is a weapon. And most people are so uncomfortable with it, they'll confess to crimes they didn't commit just to make it stop. This is conversational pressure asymmetry. Machiavelli knew that whoever controls the tempo controls the outcome. And in toxic environments, silence is used to force you into reactive mode, where you talk yourself into a corner. You sit in it. You don't fill it. You hold eye contact, stay relaxed, and wait. Because here's the secret. The person who speaks first after a power silence is the person who just lost status. If they want feedback, they'll ask. If they're testing you, they'll break first. The first time you do this, it'll feel like your skin is crawling. The second time, you'll notice something. They respect you more. Not because you said something brilliant, because you didn't flinch. Principle 5. The fake collaboration trap. If someone says, "Let's figure this out together," after ignoring you for weeks, they're not collaborating. They're outsourcing blame. You're standing at the gate of a fortress. They're inviting you in, not as an ally, but as a liability shield. If the plan works, they take credit. If it fails, you were a part of the decision. Machiavelli warned that people seek allies only when they're vulnerable. And in toxic workplaces, collaboration offers are almost always risk redistribution. The escalation ladder. Soft, I'd love to. Send me your initial thoughts first, and I'll build on them. This forces them to commit before you do. Firm, I think this is more your area. I'm happy to review once you've drafted something. This keeps you in advisory, not ownership. Exit, I don't think I'm the right person for this. No explanation, no apology. People stop trying to loop you into their messes, not because you're unkind, because you're no longer absorbent. Most people think boundaries are walls. They're not, they're gates. And you decide who gets in. Let's be honest about what's happening right now. You're watching this because someone at work is making you feel small, and part of you wants me to give you a magic sentence that'll make them stop. I can't. Because the problem isn't the sentence. It's the fact that you're still playing their game. And the only way to win a rigged game is to stop playing it. So here's the real question. Are you ready to be the kind of person who doesn't need to be liked by people who don't respect you? Because everything after this depends on that answer. Principle 6. The meeting after the meeting. Someone pulls you aside after a group discussion. Hey, can I be real with you for a second? Yes or no? Do you trust this person? This is backdoor consensus building. Machiavelli observed that decisions are made in private, then performed in public. And if someone's pulling you aside, they're either recruiting you into their alliance or testing whether you'll stay neutral. Your coworker says, I don't think Sarah's really pulling her weight, do you? If you agree, you've just been entered into a coalition. If you defend Sarah, you've been marked as opposition. I haven't noticed that, but I also haven't been tracking it. Then exit the conversation, because the goal here isn't to win the argument, it's to stay unaffiliated. In 6 months, when the political winds shift, you're not on anyone's list. You're the person who kept your head down and your mouth shut. And in toxic environments, that's not weakness, that's survival intelligence. Principle 7, the exhaustion strategy. The illusion they keep reopening the same conversation. They're just thorough. The reality, they're trying to tire you into submission. This is attrition-based compliance. Machiavelli understood that people don't need to defeat you in one battle. They just need to make fighting more exhausting than surrendering. So they'll bring up the same issue in 5 different meetings. They'll ask the same questions 7 different ways. They'll just want to clarify until you're so drained you agree to anything. You set a boundary on the process, not the content. Script, we've covered this. If something's changed, let me know. Otherwise, I'm moving forward. Then you stop engaging. No more explanations. No more justifications. You've said your piece. One quotable line: never argue inside a frame designed to shrink you. Change the court. If you want more strategies like this, subscribe now. Because what's coming next is the part most people won't do. Principle 8, the emotional audit. You send a completely neutral email. Your manager replies, I'm sensing some tension. Can we talk? You freeze. You reread your email 17 times. What did you say wrong? What most people do. They apologize. Oh no, I didn't mean it that way. And now they're defending a tone crime they didn't commit. This is emotional false flagging. Machiavelli knew that accusations don't need to be true. They just need to make you react. And once you apologize for something you didn't do, you've accepted the premise that your emotions are a problem. You don't apologize. You ask for specificity. Script, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Can you point to the part that seemed tense? Most of the time, they can't, because there was nothing. They were testing whether you'd fold. Watch how the room recalibrates. You're no longer someone who apologizes preemptively. You're someone who asks for evidence. And that makes you expensive to manipulate. Principle 9. The exit that looks like loyalty. You don't announce that you're done with someone. You just stop being available. Think of it like gravity. You don't pull away, you just stop orbiting. Machiavelli wrote that the wise prince never makes enemies unnecessarily. He simply withdraws favor. And in a workplace, that means you don't burn bridges. You just stop building on them. Soft, you're slower to respond. You're busy more often. Firm, you're unavailable for quick chats. Everything goes through email. Exit. You're polite, professional, and completely unreachable for anything informal. They can't accuse you of anything. You're not hostile. You're not cold. You're just busy. And over time, they'll stop trying. Because manipulators need supply. And you just became a dry well. Stop for a second. I want you to think about the last time someone made you feel small at work. Not yelled at. Not openly attacked. Just diminished. A comment that seemed harmless. A question that felt off. A meeting that left you doubting yourself even though nothing concrete was said. That feeling, that's the cost of playing defense. And everything you've learned so far is about switching to offense. Not loud offense. Quiet offense. The kind where people stop testing you because they've learned you're not a profitable target. Here's how you deploy this starting tomorrow. Step 1, morning ritual. Before you open your laptop, sit for 30 seconds and repeat this. I am not responsible for managing other people's insecurity. You're priming composure. You're setting intention. Step 2, in the moment script. When someone says something that makes your stomach drop, don't respond immediately. Count to 3. Then say, let me think about that. This buys you time. It also signals you're not reactive. Step 3, 7-day social experiment. For 1 week, do not apologize unless you've caused measurable harm. Not sorry for the confusion, not sorry to bother you. Not sorry if that came across wrong. Track how people's behavior shifts when you stop preemptively submitting. Step 4, alliance audit. Ask yourself, who benefits from me being reactive? Who respects me more when I'm calm? The first group is draining you. The second group is your real network. Invest accordingly. Step 5, evening review. At the end of each day, ask, did I defend myself when I should have redirected? Did I fill a silence that wasn't mine to fill? If yes, correct it tomorrow. Not with drama, with adjustment. Here's what most people won't tell you. The reason toxic workplaces are so exhausting isn't because of the work. It's because you're constantly managing other people's perceptions of you. You're defending, explaining, justifying. You're in a 24/7 performance review that no one announced. And the only way out is to stop auditioning. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved, if you can't be both. It's better to be respected than liked if you can't have both. And respect doesn't come from being nice. It comes from being consistent. Boundaries without guilt. Silence without apology. Exits without explanation. You're not being cold. You're being clear. And in environments built on confusion, clarity is power. Here's what will happen when you start doing this. People will react, not everyone, just the ones who benefited from you being controllable. They'll call you distant, cold, changed. And they're right, you have changed. You've stopped letting them set the terms. Most people will tell you to ignore this reaction. I'm telling you to expect it. Because the moment someone says, "You're not yourself lately," what they're really saying is, "You're not playing your role anymore." Good. That role was costing you. I watched someone, let's call her Nina, work at a company for 3 years where her manager constantly undermined her in meetings. Small comments. "Are you sure about that?" Interesting approach. Let's revisit that. Nina would explain, defend, over-prepare for the next meeting, and the pattern continued. Then she started using one sentence. Every time her manager questioned her, "I'm confident in the approach. If you'd like to propose an alternative, I'm open to hearing it." That's it. No defense, no justification, just a redirect. Within 2 months, the manager stopped, not because Nina fought back, because she stopped being fightable. Here's the thing about all of this. You're not learning manipulation tactics, you're learning self-command. And self-command looks like manipulation to people who are used to controlling you. Because the version of you who apologizes for existing is easier to manage than the version who doesn't. Machiavelli understood that power isn't about dominating others, it's about not being dominatable, and that starts with language. Right now, you're probably thinking about a specific person, someone at work who's been pulling strings, setting traps, making you feel like you're always one step behind. And you're wondering, will this actually work on them? Here's the truth. It's not about them, it's about you. Because the moment you stop needing them to understand you, they lose all leverage. The moment you stop defending your choices to people who aren't entitled to an explanation, you exit the game entirely. And that's when everything shifts. Not because you've become manipulative, because you've become unreachable. Let me be very clear. Everything in this video is about defense. It's about protecting your dignity in environments designed to erode it. It's about setting boundaries without apology. It's about redirecting power plays so you're no longer the target. It is not about exploiting people. It's not about lying, scheming, or treating others as disposable. If you use this to harm someone, you've missed the point entirely. Machiavelli wrote for princes, "You're not a prince. You're a person trying to survive a system that rewards cruelty and punishes honesty. So use this to protect yourself, not to become the thing you're defending against." If you made it here, you're not like most people. Most people will watch the first 3 minutes and click away because it's uncomfortable to realize they've been playing a rigged game. You stayed. That tells me something. You're done being the person who shrinks to fit. You're done being the person who apologizes for taking up space. You're done being manageable. And that's the beginning of everything. Here's what you do next. Subscribe to this channel if you want more strategies like this. Next video, the 48-hour reset. How to reclaim your reputation after a public loss. Because losing a battle doesn't mean losing the war. It just means you need to know how to reframe the narrative. And in the comments, I want you to drop one sentence, not a paragraph, one commitment sentence. I will stop apologizing for, fill in the blank. Let's build a record of what you're no longer willing to carry. Remember that conference room? The one where your manager asked why you brought something up? You don't have to avoid that room anymore. You just have to walk in different. Because the room didn't change, you did. And that's the only shift that ever mattered.